Tell him, McCluskey. Tell him what time it is.
Little Hen says it's time to rock and roll.
All you people are so scared of me.
Come quietly or there will be trouble.
Man, that's just me.
I'm Batman.
This is Sparta!
There is a tiger in the bathroom!
I'm an excellent driver.
If it bleeds, we can kill it.
Quiz, hotshot.
Keep the change, you filthy animal.
Check the VIP list. And do not look me in my eye. Don't look at me. You look at the pod. You read the names, and you look at me and you close your eyes. Look at me. Don't look at me. Look at me. That was a test. You failed.
Hello and welcome to this week's Monday Movie Show. We are live on Monday the 4th of July. Happy 4th of July to any Americans out there?
Yeah, happy Independence Day.
Yeah. You said that really bitterly.
Well, happy Independence Day then.
Yeah.
It's independent.
Well, yeah, but too
See what happens when
faux.
I try to be happy and joyful and stuff like that? It sounds all forceful and wrong. It doesn't suit me.
You're the only person I know more than me who is happier to be unhappy.
You know, you can just imagine if I was in America and I was celebrating 4th of July, I'd be looking up at the fireworks going, ooh, pretty things.
You probably wouldn't even be looking out the window. You just go, what's that? And you hear the bangs and you go, okay.
I'll go, extra dear off work, I can play some Doom.
Doom? What is this, 1980?
I'm playing the new Doom.
Yeah.
On PS4 at the moment, so I could just be playing some Doom or Overwatch.
I got given the latest one of the, I forget the name of it now. Razor's Edge, because I haven't played it yet though. But
Mirror's Edge.
Mirror's Edge even, yeah, because I love the first one. I got the second one for my birthday, so I was like, yay.
Yeah.
And I haven't had a chance to play it yet.
That's normally the case with me when it comes to video games as well. I've got Uncharted 4 Thieves End just sitting there going, will you just play me for God's sakes? You bought me ages ago, just play me. And I'm looking at it and going, nope, Doom first, then you're next.
Yeah. Anyway, this isn't Following the Gamer, although we are in the same place. We are here to discuss movies, and including this week's show are these new releases.
Yeah, we've gone slightly comedy overload with this week's show, and in the cinema section we're looking at two comedy films. One based on the TV series, the very popular TV series with Absolutely Fabulous the movie, and the other, Kevin Hart and Dwayne Johnson teaming up for Central Intelligence. And then just as an added extra treat, because it was released in the UK today, released in America a couple of weeks ago, we are reviewing Now You See Me 2.
Yep. Of course, before that we'll have some news. There's not a lot this week. The box office top 10, go through those reviews, and then we'll be back for the DVD and Blu-ray releases, which include these new movies.
Again, slightly comedy overload with one movie in a sandwich where it's just the weirdest sandwich you could ever possibly be placed in. So we're looking at comedy sequel with Zoolander 2, and then we're going completely in the opposite direction with Son of Saul, very powerful drama, back into comedy territory with Grimsby, sticking there with 50 Shades of Black, so two gross-out comedies together, and then we end off this week's show with drama in Secret in Their Eyes and Miles Teller in Get a Job.
Yep. And of course before that we'll have a look at the DVD and Blu-ray top 10, so we'll go through and let you know the latest of what's in the charts, both cinema section and also in DVD and Blu-ray weeks releases even. Yeah. So without further ado, let's go into some movie news.
Yeah, in a recent interview with Entertainment Weekly, Pixar's president Jim Morris confirmed that when Toy Story 4 and The Incredibles 2 get released, there will be no more sequels to any of their franchises. Everything after Toy Story 4, which is getting released after Incredibles 2, will be completely new IPs.
Until it becomes completely, money making, and they're like, oh, look, we can make more money in this.
Until they look at their new IPs and think, yes, this is not making us the money, and go, oh, look, Toy Story 5.
I mean, we'll get. See, the thing is, if there's any of these new IPs are really, really big, then of course we'll get sequels for them as well. So.
Yeah, but that they're supposedly, huge massive air quotes, making brand new IPs after Toy Story 4. Just brand new IPs.
I've got an idea for them. Why don't they instead of doing sequels, do spin-offs? A lot of their things have got more than enough things set up in them to be able to do a spin-off of them.
So, Buzz Lightyear centric
Yeah,
film.
Buzz Lightyear, or the Woody one, or the the story of the one of the other characters, Mr. and Mrs. Potato Head.
Okay, stretching it a smidgen.
Yeah.
But
There
I
have
think
been worse films done of secondary characters before.
Yeah, cars, planes. So yeah, they've done that before, but I don't know if they would actually go down that route. New IPs, don't know where they can go with that kind of stuff. Like you said, if they're successful, they're going to actually milk it because they know they're going to make money. Whereas stepping into new IP territory, that's harder to actually get people more interested in your films because they're not establishment characters there. So people will be going, I want more Woody, I want more Buzz Lightyear, I want more Sully, I want more of these characters rather than I want this one or that one. But they have been very successful with new IPs over the last couple of years. Inside Out, for example, is a prime example of how a new IP is actually shone. Fortunately, Good Dinosaur didn't go down that route there, but what's not to say that they'll look at Inside Out and go, you know what, we can make a sequel to this very easily.
I'm very surprised to not have heard anything about a sequel for Inside Out, because it's the kind of thing that there is that possibility for.
Yeah. According to Deadline, Legendary Pictures have approached Scott Eastwood to play a lead role in Pacific Rim 2 Maelstrom. It's also being given an official release date of February 23rd, 2018.
So they better get going on it quick then, because that's only a year and a half to get it made, which sounds like a long time, but in that kind of a film, no, they need a lot of time to do it, because that takes a while.
They did say that they are reducing the budget quite substantially.
Which is a bit of a concern, because it's a kind of film that, not saying that it needs a massive budget, but it does need a fair, hefty bit of budget behind it for some decent effects.
Yeah, supposedly the budget on Pacific Rim was around about 140 million. Supposedly the rumours is the budget for Pacific Rim 2 is going to be around about 60 million.
Yeah, that's not encouraging.
Yeah, I think if you look at like directors like Juan Antonio Bayona, he had a very small budget when it came to The Impossible. Look what he managed to do with that. That was an impressive film for the budget that he was given for that. Yeah. Guillermo del Toro can do very impressive films on a small budget. And so he's producing Maelstrom. So we'll see if these influence can actually help the new director to get as much as he possibly can out of a $60 million budget. If it is true that that's how much the budget's going to be. Box Office Mojo has confirmed that Underworld Blood Wars has been delayed in early 2017 with no reason given.
So it's probably due to someone not being available. Kate Beckinsale probably not available because she'll be coming back for it. I don't know if they're going to have was it Scott Speedman?
Yes.
Back for it, because they didn't have him back for the last one. They were allowed to use his likeness for one shot, but he's not. He wasn't back for the last one, and it was left off of the last one, suggesting that they were going to go to find him in the next one. So,
Yeah, she is definitely back here, but Conceal. The film was originally going to be released in October, so it's only been delayed by 3 months. It's not like a mega huge delay. Like we've heard of some films over the last few weeks getting delayed by years. A year, for example, with the new Maze Runner film, but that was down to an accident. So, yeah, well, I don't hold any hopes whatsoever for Underworld Blood Wars.
I've enjoyed the Underworld franchise. I think it's one of the ones that there's films that do the whole vampire thing or the whole werewolf thing, and do a take on it that doesn't work. The films may not be brilliant, but they kind of have a solid mythos on the whole vampire and werewolf thing that I think is what does make them watchable for the fans, because it's kept to the rules. It hasn't been breaking all the rules and everything and sort of thing.
Yeah, I would say the first two, yes. The last two, God no, they were awful films. So the less said about Rise of the Lycans, the better. Disney have finally confirmed that a sequel to Wreck-It Ralph will be out on March the 9th, 2018. All that is known about the sequel is that both Ralph and Vanellope will return, and that it will be set in present day. That's it.
Well, that's good. I mean, it is another one of these animation sequels. It's not Pixar, it's Disney, and it was Disney at a time when they overtook Pixar in the quality of the output they were making. So, I mean, Wreck-It Ralph is one of those ones that's a really fun one. It's got loads of the great references in it. If you're a gamer, there are literally hundreds of references in there that you'll get and things and that are funny, and I hope that they've got that. Again, it's like the whole thing of Monsters Inc. and Monsters University. They better have the same ingenuity that they have and the references and the humour as the first film, and not make something that's just literally a sequel set in the same place and have the people that have made it have no idea what they're doing, no idea for the world they're referencing.
Yeah, I do remember, before we start the show, what the other thing I was going to talk about. Did you see the takings of the BFG at the US box office?
I didn't. I heard it bombed, though, very badly.
The official chart is out now, so it's stretched from July 1st up to July 4th, which is today. Finding Dory is number 1, Legend of Tarzan went in at number 2, 45 million off a $180 million budget. The Purge did brilliantly for itself, $34 million off $10 million. We don't get the Purge.
Good, the right weekend for it, isn't it, really, in America?
Yeah, but we don't get the Purge election year till the end of August. So we have to wait about another 6 weeks before we get the film. The BFG came in 4th, 22 million of a $140 million budget, and it was released in 3,500 screens.
I gotta say, to be honest, I've seen the trailer and I literally was just like, yeah, okay. It did not bring out any enthusiasm in me for seeing it at all. Nothing I've seen about it makes me go, oh, I want to see it. It's got that. As much as there are live action elements with the girl in it, it's the whole thing of the CG giants and all that sort of thing that you see in the trailer. It looks like Jack the Giant Killer, or whatever it was. It looks like the effects of that, which were really off-putting and quite bad, and it looks like they've just done the same thing. Yeah,
it does look. The biggest thing that I'm looking at the chart here, Swiss Army Man, the new Daniel Radcliffe movie where he plays a farting corpse.
Yeah. I've seen the bizarre trailer. I honestly watched that.
I really like the look of that film, actually.
Did you not, after watching the trailer, just literally go, what did I just watch?
Yeah, but it's got Daniel Radcliffe and Paul Dano in it, and I think they both suit each other really well. It went up in takings of 1,535.8%.
Wow.
Which is, I know, at $1.7 million in its second week, expanding by 630 screens. But still, that's really good for a movie that very few people knew about. And probably the fact that it's got a farting Daniel Radcliffe in it.
And probably an indie film which doesn't have a massive budget. Probably has a fair bit of budget from the trailer, but not a massive budget as a lot of these other films have.
Yeah, back to the last couple of pieces of news that I've got. Vinnie Jones has joined the ever-expanding cast of the Kingsman sequel, The Golden Circle. He joins Halle Berry, Channing Tatum, Jeff Bridges, and even Elton John.
I wonder how much time these actors are going to get on these films. They're probably only going to be like 5-minute cameos from the number of them.
It's not going to be as bad as Zoolander.
Well,
they get 5-second cameos.
Well, maybe.
And final piece of news. This will not care about at all. Paramount have announced that they have picked up the big screen rights to Clifford the Big Red Dog. Move on.
Okay. Talking of red dogs, I did message you as well. We were talking about a red dog thing the other day because one of your favourite films is getting a prequel.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Red Dog, Blue, something I can't remember now.
There's another film coming out in October. I can't remember the name of it. We're brilliant with names tonight, aren't we?
Yeah.
But, it's about a homeless man who is befriended by a cat. And it looks brilliant. It's a small little British film based on true events, where this guy he's living on the streets. He finally gets some good luck when he's given a home, and raiding his home during the middle of the night is a cat, and he befriends this cat, and this cat goes everywhere with him. It looks fantastic. It's out in cinemas. I think it's around about October when it's out. There's a trailer of it online. If I remember what it is, I'll put it up on my Twitter feed at Cryptic Tadpole. Because I'm sort of like falling in love with these movies that's got animals at the centre of it. So Red Dog, prequel to that, I'm definitely there. And this one about a cat as well. So yeah, so people starting to see the soft side of me, and it's worrying.
Yeah, it's quite unusual. It's weird. Yeah. Box office top 10. Let's go into that then. Starting at number 10 with The Boss.
Haven't seen it.
You've still not seen this? I thought you'd seen it. Oh, for some reason. It is typical Melissa McCarthy fare. It's her playing a character that's, an awful character who then, kind of sees the light and starts trying to put things together and do a good thing. And can you guess it? What will happen by the end?
Everything's hunky-dory.
Yeah. Still hanging in there in the top 10 at number 9, The Jungle Book.
Yeah, it's really good, actually. It's got a few little moments here and there which you cringe at, specifically the two musical numbers. But it's a family-friendly film. It has a few little scary moments in there for the younger audiences. But it's still, it's really good.
It's now got the highest in the top 10 in the UK box office. 45.5 million it's taken.
By the way, that film's called A Street Cat Named Bob.
A Street Cat Named Bob, okay.
That was the film I was trying to think of. Go seek out the trailer for it. Like I said, I'll post a link up on my Twitter feed.
Okay, X-Men Apocalypse at number 8.
Lacking in pretty much everything X-Men-esque. It doesn't have the charm, it doesn't have the wit, it doesn't have the nuances, it doesn't have the brilliant set pieces, it doesn't have the character development like other previous X-Men films has. It makes a joke at how the third in a series of films can be bad, and it's pretty much laughing at itself. Because the third in the original trilogy was bad, the third in this trilogy is bad.
Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Out of the Shadow at number 7.
A few people have been defending this movie. I can't see why. They're supposedly fans of the original source material of the Turtles, so from the 80s, the comic books and the original cartoon TV series. If you're a fan of that, then how can you defend this? Because it takes every premise that was introduced into those two things in the 80s and just destroys it. It even lacks any kind of punch that the original Turtles film had, not the Michael Bay one, the original, the Jonathan Liebesman one, sorry, the original live-action Turtles movie, because that was actually pretty dark. Casey Jones was a very dark character. April O'Neil wasn't somebody to be leered upon, and in this movie, that's exactly what they've done. Michael Bay has just got his grubby little CGI mitts all over it, and pretty much smeared any kind of decency out of it.
Number 6 is Alice Through the Looking Glass.
Best thing about it is Mia Wasikowska and Sacha Baron Cohen. Unfortunately, he destroys that in the film that we'll be looking at a little bit later on. But yeah, they're the two best thing about it. I think Sacha Baron Cohen plays his best stuff when he's having to be very family friendly. I think he's more malevolent in that one. If you look at him in Hugo,
he is very good in Hugo. I was just thinking that.
He's very creepy in Hugo, and he's really good in this one as well. I think he plays to that kind of audiences very well, which makes me think just avoid all this gross out humour stuff that you think you're really good at and stick to this kind of stuff. It would have been better if it was in a better film.
Number 5 is The Nice Guys, which you still haven't seen it yet, have you?
No cinema around me is actually showing it anymore. That's why I'm surprised it's still in the top 10.
Yeah, I don't know that it's dropped out a lot, but I think it's still that it's not on in as many screens as it was before, but it's still getting a lot of people going to see it because word of mouth is spreading on it still. And I enjoyed it. I liked it. I thought it's very, very well written. It's very well done. Well written. Why am I getting well done written? Not cooking it. It's great from Shane Black. I love his humour, I love his style, and I love the action in there as well as the characters that are just. It makes me laugh from the beginning to end, and I really got into it. So I think it's a great film. I hope that we'll get to see more of them. Number 4 is Me Before You.
It's by the numbers kind of romantic drama. Sam Claflin and Emilia Clarke, they're okay in the roles, but it's just throwaway kind of stuff. It's not something which will make people go, oh, I have not seen that before, or make people cry or any of that kind of stuff. You'll just watch it and go, you've took that from that film, you've took that from that film. So the performances are okay, but they can't push through a very, very average plot and a very, very average script.
So into our top 2 movies now. Number 3 even. Conjuring 2.
Well, somebody's going to get a major haunting. And I don't think the Warrens are actually going to help you. But yeah, The Conjuring 2, it's on the same level just with the original Conjuring. I think the original Conjuring has a few little nuances which is better than The Conjuring 2. I think it's more creepier than that one. I don't think James 1 holds a lot more back in the original, and this one he makes it more longer. It's a much more longer film, and that way he adds more story to it and more character to the characters that are in the film itself, and that works really well. It didn't bother me with the accents at all. That didn't put me off. I just liked the world that he was actually filming in. It's just interesting that he takes something like the Enfield Haunting and makes it into a very Americanized horror film in a way, because the Enfield Haunting has been shown on television in a couple of different guises. It was shown last year in a BBC Two drama, and it's a very subtle kind of thing that's happened. If you look at some of the things that happened in that case, the girl just looks like she was... Did she leap off the bed, or did she throw herself off the bed? Just very little things like that, and to turn that into an American blockbuster kind of horror film is a bit strange to do, but I think James Wan handles it.
So into those number two films, top two films, very big films released recently. Which one do you think it's going to be? Well, number two is Independence Day Resurgence.
Yeah, I've got a friend who walked out of the film 55 minutes through it. And no matter what film I've been to see at the cinema, I've never walked out. I've even gone to see Run for Your Wife at the cinema, and I've never walked out of a film. I fell asleep twice, once during George of the Jungle, and the other time during Age of Ultron.
Oh, that's bad. So, I mean, at least when I did it was during 300 Rise of an Empire.
Yeah, so I didn't even fall asleep. I didn't even fall asleep during Sin City 2, or even during Machete Kills. I didn't fall asleep during that. I didn't even walk out during that because I was the only one in the screening of that film. But yeah, a friend walked out 55 minutes through the film, and he said it's absolute garbage. So he just walked out. It's not absolute garbage, but it's not very good. It's just really not very good at all. It's not a disaster movie anymore, the Independence Day series. It's no longer disaster movies territory, which I think is what Roland Emmerich does best. They might be dumb, his films, but his disaster films are still quite enjoyable. You can even look at 2012. It's stupidly too long, but it's still enjoyable at times. It's brain dead enjoyable. This one is just brain dead. It just doesn't have any character depth to it. It just doesn't have any interesting elements to it. And the worst thing is, he's turned around and said the third film is going to be entirely set in space, and it's entirely about the fleet, or a group of soldiers going to attack the planet, the main planet where this alien being's come from. Really, Roland Emmerich, really.
The problem with it is, basically, I'm just going to sum it up, the fact of the first one knew it was a B movie, had a big effects thing, but it was basically like a big kind of effects reel film. It was loads of effects, and it took its time to go, look at this massive effect, look at this, isn't it brilliant, is it pretty, isn't it really, really good? And this one just basically goes, oh, look at the, wait, what was that? You're literally watching it and you're going, I have no idea what's going on, because I saw some effect but I don't know what it was, and I wasn't given time to take it in, and it's just going too fast. And that's the whole thing. It has been somewhat kind of Michael Bay-ized.
It's done worse than that, because at least Michael Bay's got a decent eye for shots. This one is just Roland Emmerich going, let's add more CGI.
So the number one movie is, any really surprise, The Secret Life of Pets.
That's because it had a stupidly brilliant opening preview weekend, so much so that when we reported about it on the show, it actually had a better opening weekend than The Conjuring 2 had in its proper weekend. So its preview weekend for The Secret Life of Pets was better than The Conjuring 2's proper opening weekend, which is really impressive. It's a very good film. It's not on the level with The Minions. It tries to be, but it doesn't have the humour and brilliance of The Minions. But that's not to say The Secret Life of Pets doesn't have its own humour to it. There are quite a few funny moments in the film. There's a few little scary moments for the younger audience, but it's a U-rated movie. It never ever pushes the envelope too far. It's just bright and colourful and brash, and it goes along at a really decent pace there. There's characters for everybody to enjoy. There's moments for everybody to enjoy. And yeah, it's a very enjoyable, family-friendly movie.
Okay, so that's the top.
It won't be number one next week.
Yeah, will it?
This film will be.
Well, yeah, that's a possibility.
It will be, because it took £4.4 million over the opening weekend, and that's not official yet.
Yeah.
So that it's had a stupidly brilliant weekend.
Okay, I can cross that off of what I was going to say.
Did you actually write that?
I did actually have that written down. Yeah. So hang on.
I love spoiling things. Shall I spoil the whole film as well, considering I haven't actually clue what happens in the movie? So it'd be a good guess if I did that.
Okay, everyone here is Stuart's hasn't seen review of Absolutely Fabulous the movie. Take it away, Stuart.
It's like the TV.
Sorry, I'm just gonna
series,
rip up my things, my notes. Just go on. No.
That's it?
Yeah.
There you go.
Okay.
If you know what the TV series is like, you'll know what the film will be like.
Kind of, pretty much, yeah.
Expand on that.
Yeah, so it's Absolutely Fabulous the movie. I have watched the series, though I was never really into it. I've seen it, at times. So I had a concept of it, an understanding of it, and knowing the character, what's going on, and the whole thing of you have the of Edina, as she's called, played by Jennifer Saunders, and you have Patsy, played by Joanna Lumley. Who are these two? For anyone who doesn't know the series, they're basically two aging friends who spend most of the time getting drunk and doing that sort of thing. But they're, sort of high society. They're well, it's the posh people sort of humour sort of thing. And Eddy is a sort of PR. She runs a PR company, and in the film was really introduced to her, her and things going on. You see that she's sort of the PR for a couple of celebrities, things like Em Bunton, Baby Spice, and Lulu, the singer Lulu. She's sort of there with her friend, with Patsy, and things are kind of it's kind of business as usual as we meet them at the beginning of the film with this clip. Here's the clip.
Today's the day I signed the deal on my book deal, darling. Yeah, fabulous. Am I in it? Yeah, of course you're in it, darling, because you are my oldest friend.
And who will play me, Eddy?
Well, it's only just nearly a book. It will be a film, though, sweetheart, because it's about me, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's about London's premier fashion PR.
Yeah. Fabulous. And who will play me, Eddy? Not Jane Fonda.
Right. I've had stem cells in the blood of a 2-year-old child injected into my skin, and my face still looks like this.
You need to be using fetus blood, Eddy. A little spritz of afterbirth, darling.
Yeah.
Keep up, sweetie.
So, from that clip, you got an idea what the characters are like and how they talk and what's going on and things. And it's all about this whole thing of they go to this party where there's a thing going on for a new fashion line being released by a designer played by a cameo by I forgot her name now, Kathy Burke, who plays this new sort of designer, and she goes to look and try and get Kate Moss on as her one of her customers, because of the fact that the word is out, Kate Moss has let go of her PR and is sort of a free agent sort of thing. And accidentally, this is alongside the River the Thames, accidentally knocks her over the counter and into the Thames, where she is no longer found. And so, of course, Eddy has to go on sort of the run with Patsy in tow, trying to find a way to, stay out of trouble and end up sort of running away to another country and such. That's basically the very simple premise of the film. So the thing is, as I said, I've seen episodes of it. I don't really know it that well. I wasn't massively into it. There is sort of the continuity from that with the house that when you meet them is the same sort of layout. It's obviously a different house, but it's been given the same sort of layout with the stairs down into the basement and that sort of bit. You have the sort of appearances by characters that have made appearances in the show, and also the woman that plays her mother, I forget her name as well, but she also has a small role in the film back as well. And it's a film that is, I think, if you're a fan of the series and you're into it, you're maybe going to like it, but it's I don't think you're going to love it. I saw it in a cinema that was not packed, but a fair number of people in there. It got some giggles. It never got any big laughs. It never had anything that was especially humorous. It never did any kind of gross out things or anything like that, but it was never ever got to a point where I'm sitting there and I'm thinking, this is actually pretty good. I sat all the way through it, bored at times, didn't laugh. I got one laugh out of me, and that was a gag with a cameo from Rebel Wilson. So actually, Rebel Wilson got a laugh out of me. That's quite bad. Yeah,
Really?
yeah. It's got loads of these sort of appearances by famous celebrities, and it's the whole thing of these celebrities pop up and then they're gone, and they pop up and they're gone, and they pop up and they're gone, and some of them even literally don't have a line. They just pop up there in the background and that's it. You wonder, did they get offered anything to come in, or they just go, oh look, we're getting loads of people. Oh, you're here. Oh, here. Just stand there, stand still, action, run shot. Okay, done. It's literally that kind of a thing. They're just passing by them, and I honestly was most of the time just bored with it. I didn't get into it at all. It's not admittedly, I'm not a fan of it. I'm not into the series. People who may get something out of it, but I don't think so. I think it's another one of these TV series, British TV series, that's taken to film without a clue of how to do it as a film.
Yeah, I get that indication from the trailer. The trailer did absolutely nothing for me. The TV series does nothing for me at all. It feels like it's like when we keep on reviewing these TV series films based on TV series, like they have no idea of being able to extend it out into a full film. If that was the case with Dad's Army, is it on the level of that kind of quality?
It's got the same.
Do you think they actually managed to succeed a little bit better with Dad's Army compared to Absolutely Fabulous?
It's kind of the same kind of pacing issues with them, where it's trying to stretch out something to be the length of the film, and it's trying to get the laughs instead of just trying to be funny. It's like it literally has moments where you think it's almost like it's turning to the audience and going, "How was that?" And you just sat there going, "Huh? What?"
Yeah, because that was the joy with the TV. That's the joy with a TV series. The best thing you can do is you can have an idea which can last about 20-25 minutes, and then the next episode can be a completely different idea. You're able to actually do that. Whereas with the film, you need to make sure you've got an idea that lasts 90 minutes, not 20 minutes. And the problem with TV series going into films is the writers, this is no offense to writers, the writers work in TV really well because their ideas can sustain 20 minutes. They get those same writers who are brilliant at doing that to actually extend things into 90 minutes, to try and extend jokes into 90 minutes. And it's really difficult for them to do. So they fall back on the usual thing, get tons of cameos, and they'll think that they use it as padding. And my guess is that's how it feels.
It's honestly, it's just very hollow and boring. Honestly, the only word I can think of, the best way to describe it, and I hate using this word, but it was boring. I was bored.
Yeah, it's one of those movies that you just gotta look at it and go, when you look at the end of your list, it'll be in like the 5s, and it'll just be a movie that your eyes will not glance upon. It'll just completely forget about it. And then when you go through your list again, you'll realise, oh, I actually did see that film there. I did see Absolutely Fabulous. Central Intelligence then. Does the comedy get any better? Directed by Rawson Marshall Thurber. Brilliant name. It stars Dwayne Johnson and Kevin Hart. At the start of the film, we see them in the younger guys. Dwayne Johnson plays a character called Robbie Werdict. I'm not actually going to say his proper name the way it's actually pronounced in there, so I'm going to emphasise the T. And we see him at the start of the film being ridiculed, so much so that he's dancing in the shower completely naked. He's a big fat guy, and these bullies drag him out into the middle of a ceremony, which is for Kevin Hart's character, who plays Calvin Joyner. He's the top dog at school. He's brilliant at absolutely everything. So Robbie is thrown into this crowd there like a pack of wolves, and he is just pretty much humiliated. Fast forward 20 years later, and we see sort of like both roles completely change in a way. Calvin, he is in a job which he's not overly satisfied about. He's got a wife there. He's trying to have a baby in a way to establish a much more bigger connection with his wife, but things seem to be not going as planned. He's not the big football star or the jock that the school made him out to be. Then on the opposite side of the coin, we've got Dwayne Johnson's character Bob Stone, changed his name from Robbie Werdict, and he's sort of like changed. He has lost a lot of weight. He's now big and bulky, and Calvin discovers a secret. Bob needs his help, and something is going on. Here's a clip.
I'm gonna need your tie.
You gonna now?
Your necktie, take it off.
No, I'm not taking my tie
Come
off.
on, Jet.
Don't do that.
Let's go. Save it.
Stop.
Save it. Oh, save it, Jet.
What? Fine, take it. Take it.
Just right over
You
here.
can have it. Okay, listen to me. Listen. Stop. I need to know what is happening right now.
Okay. You know what? Moving too fast. Bottom line, are you in or are you out?
What are you talking? In or out of what?
No time for questions. Just action. In or out.
Okay, well, then I'm out.
I'm sorry, Jet. Actually, you're already in.
Okay, then why would you ask me?
Because I thought you would go, I'm in, Bob. And we would have had a really cool moment, but you kind of ruined the whole thing.
Okay, listen to me right now. Bob, I don't know what it is that you're into, but what I do know is that I am really 100% out.
So we discover that there could be, after some like very dark organization or some dark person in the guise of the Black Badger, however things don't go according to plan, secrets are revealed, interesting secrets are revealed, and both flip and flop between each other and arguments arise, and then we're thrown into the turmoil with the CIA brought into the mix as well. And are we supposed to suspect that Bob might not be what he exactly says he is, or could there be something else involved? The film itself builds itself as a comedy, and at times it gets a few little sniggers here and there. It got a couple of tiny little laughs from me. It's not overly awful, it's not overly bad, as a matter of fact. It straddles the line of being quite average. Kevin Hart annoys the heck out of me. He really does annoy the heck out of me. He was fine in The Secret Life of Pets, and very much like Adam Sandler, I think he should just stick with animated characters, because that's when he's not annoying. And this one, he sort of like tones it down a little bit, which is a good thing, because he's got this quite whiny Chris Tucker-esque kind of voice. And to hear that for 90 minutes at a higher pitch, it's like whistling to a dog. A dog would just really hate that, and so you would really hate that. But he dials it down. There's a couple of little moments when he starts to peak and that, and you're going, please don't. And then he stops, and so at least he dials it back a little bit. Dwayne Johnson's actually got some really good comedy timing in it. He's sort of like, he looks like he's having a lot of fun with the character that he's given. So instead of being this person who's playing like an action hero, he's given the chance to do that kind of thing, but also add some strange humor to it as well. And I think it works. It works really well for him. I think both of them together are actually pretty decent at a pairing. It's just a pity that the story that they're given is very simplistic, very straightforward. Just, you can predict what's happening throughout the film. It's got a few cameos here and there. It doesn't absolutely lit one. There's one cameo which I never thought would make me giggle, but it did actually make me laugh, and I was really shocked at myself that it got one of the 3 laughs out of me throughout the entirety of the film. But overall, I didn't hate the film. It was a passable movie. For the 90 odd, actually just shy of 2 hours that it's on for, it is too long. It just didn't annoy me, and that surprised me. It just didn't annoy me.
I have to say, I got into it, but I did find it was not as funny as it could have been. Kevin Hart, I would say again, was not as annoying as he can be from things like the ride-along films. I did notice, though, going through it, the similarities between sort of it being a little bit ride-alongish, the kind of the duo thing, you know, the buddy movie sort of thing of it, but also it's essentially a rehash of the Tom Cruise film Night and Day.
Yeah.
It's very, very similar in structure, and also The Rock is playing his character as being kind of oddball sort of way that Tom Cruise was playing his character in that film as well. So it's really kind of too similar in that regard for my taste that for it to stand out on its own legs. And I didn't hate it, but I honestly sat there and I just like, it felt honestly a bit lazy. I wish it had been, they had kind of, you know, thought it up a bit more and gone through a bit more and not been so obvious and not gone too over the top and sometimes and not go stronger, you know, in other times. And it's not a bad film. I just honestly walked out and was just like, that could have been worse. That's literally the view I had of it coming out of it. So I was like, oh, I love that. Oh, it's good. And I was like, could have been worse.
Yeah, that's exactly what the film is. It could have been much worse, and I think it's just down to the fact that the pairing of Dwayne Johnson and Kevin Hart actually work better than the pairing of Kevin Hart and Ice-T. Ice Cube, sorry. They work really much better together than both Ice Cube and Kevin Hart. So if they've got a stronger script, a more comical script, better characters as well, I think in the future that pairing might actually be something to look out for. Very much like Channing Tatum's pairing with Thingy in 21 Jump Street.
Yeah, with Jonah Hill. Yeah, I can remember.
Hill.
I remember Jonah Hill's name. I could never remember his name.
So it's just those two as a pairing together. You would never think that it would go really well, but under the guise of Phil Lord and Christopher Miller, they just gelled brilliantly and had some brilliantly comic time between each other. I think Kevin Hart and Dwayne Johnson need to be in a movie by Phil Lord and Christopher Miller, because they know how to write comedy, so they know how to write characters for both of them that will actually stick together.
Yeah. Okay, so because it's released today, it's technically released next week, but its proper release date has been today instead of normally a Wednesday, Thursday or Friday.
Preview week.
Yeah, which is Now You See Me Too. This one's directed by John M. Chu. The last one was directed by Louis Leterrier.
One of these films a little bit later on.
And going back to set sort of the ground, I think I'll go quickly over my views on the first one, because the first one was a film that I saw in the cinema. I was with it and I enjoyed it, and I walked out of it. It has an ending which feels the first film had an ending which basically kind of has a bit of a twisting which comes out of nowhere, and I honestly thought it literally had me going in the cinema going, oh, you're kidding me, really? It's going that way, and it has that sort of a twisting. It seems very out of sync with the rest of the film. And otherwise than that, I oddly enjoyed it, and found myself over the last couple of years going back to it and getting into it a lot more on subsequent viewings. It has to do with the whole thing of magic in it, which I do have this issue with you doing a film about magic and showing magic, but then it's all been special effects up magic. It's not actually done to be like magic. It's not shown why it's being magic. You get to see the whole thing of the deception, and then you see the explanation of it later in flashback, and it's different. It's the whole thing of showing what you didn't see, and the reason you didn't see it there in the first place because it wasn't there, sort of a thing. So with this one, you have carrying on a year later from the events of the first film. The four horsemen have been missing and disappeared. Dylan, the FBI agent played by Mark Ruffalo, and I'm not going to spoil things, but there are issues to do with the character and his character in particular from the first film, and things going on. Meanwhile, the four horsemen then pop up again at this sort of a symposium thing going on. They are then outed because things go out of control. The plan doesn't quite work. There's a big screen that says to them, they're all, there's one of them who was said to be dead is now alive and is there as well. They're all sort of fakes and things going wrong. They end up going sort of on the run to get away because of the fact the FBI turn up for them, trying to arrest them from the events of the first film. And then all of a sudden go from running down the chute and find themselves having been in America, arriving instantaneously somehow in China. Here's a clip.
The eye. It may not lie, but don't think for a moment that it can't be lied to. Seeing is believing, but is it truth? People see the horsemen as noble Robin Hoods. Are they? Or are they common thieves? Depends on your point of view. Here's what you know. They robbed a bank in Paris from a stage in Las Vegas. They fleeced an insurance magnate of hundreds of millions of dollars and disappeared from a roof in New York, always showering their devoted fans with money. Here's what you don't know. They left one man behind, framed, holding the bag. Me. Are you listening, horsemen? When you emerge, and you will, I will be there, waiting. Because mark my words, you will get what's coming to you in ways you can't expect.
As you heard there in that clip, if you didn't recognise the voice, that is Morgan Freeman, who was in the first film and is back in this one as the same character who at the beginning of the film, as you heard in that clip there, is in jail from the previous event and is out for revenge of sorts. So here's the thing going on. You have introducing into the cast a new character who replaces the female character from the first film. I forget.
Isla Fisher.
Isla Fisher, yeah, thank you. Who had left the film for whatever reasons, is now replaced by a new character played by Lizzie Kaplan. Other than that,
she's appeared in Louis Leterrier's film that I'm reviewing a little bit later on.
But it's a case of that. So everyone else is returned and all the characters are back that you know from the first film, and you have a new character introduced, played by Daniel Radcliffe, who is sort of there, and he turns up to them when they get to China and says to them, "You guys are here. I sort of run and control this country. You will do a heist job for me, basically, given the heist jobs that he did before." And they at first say, "No, we're not going to do this," but then Jesse Eisenberg's character, who's kind of wanting to be the leader of the group, says, "Okay, we'll do it," and has his own reasons for doing that. Here's the thing with Now You See Me Too. It is essentially more of the same, very much the same level as the first film. A lot of the whole, as I say, the magic thing, it has these sequences where the magic is done and you see it, and then at the end when things are explained afterwards, you see the flashbacks to it, you see it from a different angle, you see what really happened. But it's the thing of the, when it's shown in the first place, when you see it, it's not obviously the same take, it's not obviously how it happened. They've done it and it's screen magic, which is the thing I still have an issue with. It's basically, it's like a kind of a lie to me. I would love to see it and then watch it and then afterwards go back and watch it again and be able to go, oh yeah, I can see that there, and they pulled the wool over your eyes, how a magician really does. A magician works with distraction. So you have the magician doing what they're doing, they do what they're doing, distraction, and things going on behind them, and you don't see it. And if you go back and look at it again, then you look at it and go, ah, yeah, now I see it. I knew it was there, but I just didn't pay attention to it. And I wish it had that, because I hate that kind of lying to the audience in a way that's done. I find it really annoying. I do think it is solidly directed, although it has some scenes where there's a couple of sort of action kind of fight sequences that are awkwardly filmed and awkwardly edited, that they're actually a little bit confusing. It does have a nicely kind of choreographed sequence in the middle of it where the characters are all there and they have to do something with a card, where they're basically throwing this card around between them so that security can check them and not get this card. And that's nicely done, except for the fact that it goes on for far too long. It's a sequence that should have been a couple of minutes. It literally is about 10 minutes. I'm not kidding, that's how long it felt like. And it just went on for far too long. The rest of the film, perfectly fine, had no problem with it, got into it. Daniel Radcliffe's character is a little bit kind of on the nose, cheesy, a bit too much, but it was okay, and I enjoyed it. I did come out at the end though, again having the same thing of the, and we're going to try and be as spoiler light as possible, but it is one of these films, if you saw the first one and like me you got to the end and there was a development that happened and you were like, really, you're going there? It just felt very kind of a lazy twist at the end of it, which didn't really add up with the rest of the film. There is another one in this one. It's true to form of that. It's a very similar kind of thing, and I literally was at the end, I was just like, oh, please don't do this to me, please no, and it did it. And that for me is why it kind of loses a little bit, Mark, because and as I say, the first one did this to me. Over time I saw it again and I came to like it. I still hate that twist, but I like it more on second viewing. And this is the same. I don't have a problem with it. It is a continuation. It's not worse, it's not better, it's just the same, and that's fine, but it could have been so much more. It's just a shame, is all.
Personally, I think it's worse. I think if you look at the way the first one plods out, it's very much like a carnival. It's a spectacle. It has three central set pieces at the beginning of the film, at the central section of the film, and at the end, the big hurrah at the end. So it has three really sort of like carnival ones. You walk into a carnival, you see all of these rides, and you see each one supposedly get better as a matter of fact the way it goes on. I think the last set piece is the worst set piece out of the whole three. With this one here, with Now You See Me Too, it doesn't have that at all. Because what it does is, you've explained it perfectly by saying it has the tricks, but in this film here, it explains how you manage to pull off each one of the tricks. I don't want that. That's not why you watch magic. You watch magic to be aghast by what you've seen. you're trying your best to figure out, I wonder how they could have done that, I wonder how they did that, rather than you being told how they did that. It loses all brilliance in the trick that you've seen. It loses all suspense. The film doesn't even have any suspense whatsoever. The chemistry with the characters seem to be lacking. It seems to be very disjointed in this one compared to what it was like in the first one. Adding Lizzie Kaplan's character in it and taking out Isla Fisher was a bit of a bad mistake. She's an okay actress. I just don't think her character brought anything to the film at all. I thought Isla Fisher was much more stronger in the first one than Lizzie Kaplan is in this one. The inclusion of Daniel Radcliffe as well, at the start when you see him you think, oh, we've got an interesting character here. He seems to be slightly off kilt a little bit. However, the more you watch the film, the more you start to realise they've made him very stereotypical and whiny and annoying and just, bad. So overall, the film itself just didn't have the spectacle of what Louis Leterrier managed to pull off with the first film. John M. Chu, he's more suitable to movies like Step Up, because that's the kind of series that he's done. You would expect somebody who did that to bring the energetic feel of Step Up into this one, and it might have made the movie a bit more pulsating. As a matter of fact, it turns just into a very bog standard heist movie with a few little magical elements to it, and I agree with you on the cards central section of the film where they're throwing the card between each other. That could have been shorter, much more tighter, much more slicker as well than what it was done, because they tried to add so many layers on top of that. The brilliance that you see when you start to see the stuff happening dilutes itself more so, and it just becomes like boring, to be honest. That's the whole film, boring. I didn't like it as much as the first one.
As I say, I liked it about the same on my initial viewing, but I liked the first one more the more I saw it, because I saw it again and I wanted to, and it's so I don't know, this might win me over. I don't think it will, but it is.
I don't think it's got the layers to. I think the first one had that intrigue for you to go back to it and watch it again, whereas this one you just don't have that. You don't have the urge to go, you know what, I want to see this section again to see if it is this or that, when in fact it's just because it explains itself. It's always constantly explaining itself. That there is nothing there for you to discover.
Yep. So that's it for this week's cinema section. As usual, we're going to take a quick break here, and then we'll be back with this week's DVD and Blu-ray releases in the home section. Just be a moment.
There was a real sense of you were doing something wrong, but that did give it that feeling of excitement.
When the reveal of the film happens, that's when it just becomes absurd.
And the atmosphere and just the sense you get whenever you go into it is undeniable.
It did absolutely zero for me, which could be for the hype.
What we've just discussed there is just scratching the surface on it.
Hi, I'm Eric England, the director of Contracted, and you're listening to From Page to Screen, the horror show.
Welcome back to this week's Monday Movie Show, into the Blu-ray and DVD section of the show, or as we like to call it, the home release section, so it makes it much more shorter. We're looking at a lot of comedies this week, punctuated by a couple of dramas. So on the Blu-ray and DVD section / home release section of the show, we're looking at these films.
We have Zoolander is back in Zoolander 2. We have a very somber drama in Son of Saul. We have another comedy with Grimsby, and then we have a comedy of sorts with 50 Shades of Black, the spoof of 50 Shades of Grey, and round out the show with a couple of films, smaller films, Secret in Their Eyes and Get a Job.
Is that aimed at somebody specific? Get a job.
Well, we'll see. It's all to do with, as you can imagine, characters getting jobs and stuff in films, yeah.
And on top of that, we have our TV movie of the week and our overall movie of the week, but it's the Blu-ray and DVD top 10 that we're looking at. Number 10 is Star Wars The Force Awakens.
Yeah, we've done everything we can really about this.
Absolutely to death. Number 9 is The Hateful Eight,
which I enjoyed. I do like it more the way it's filmed and the way it's done, but it's like a stage play. It's all mostly takes place inside this sort of hut, out in the sort of trapped in the middle of a snowstorm. And I really did like that. It is too long though. It could have done with a good snipping at the beginning of the film with this whole sort of carriage sequence. Doesn't need to be there it's nice sort of character stuff, but it really doesn't add anything to the film.
Quickly, just going back to Star Wars, did you know it's Phil Lord and Christopher Miller that's directing the Han Solo movie?
I don't think they were. I thought it was someone else.
Yeah, they are. Phil Lord and Christopher Miller are actually directing it. They're writing the script and directing it with Alden Ehrenreich starring in it, which is an interesting idea to do.
Yeah, they certainly know their stuff for doing fun films.
Yeah, so we'll see how they handle, because I think it's a really interesting choice.
Yeah.
Number 8 is Goosebumps.
Which is a nice kind of twist on the whole, based on a novel idea, and that it takes it based on the whole series of novels and actually makes the novels characters in themselves in the film, along with the fictional sort of writer played by Jack Black in the film. And it's fun. It's the kind of family. It's a PG film that's along the lines of Jumanji and Zathura, that kind of a family film, which is perfectly fun, enjoyable, and witty.
At number 7 is Alvin and the Chipmunks: The Road Chip.
I haven't seen this. You have?
Yeah, it's bearable. It's just bearable. That's the best thing I can actually see about the movie. It's not as annoying as Chipwrecked, which was the previous film. I can't believe that it's into its 4th film already. Just stop. There's no more ideas you can actually wring out of the Chipmunks. Just stop it.
Chipmunks in space?
Probably. And in that case, can they meet up with Critters and Pinhead and just be ripped apart? Just imagine Pinhead looking at the Chipmunks. I'll tear your soul apart.
Oh, no. How about that? Chipmunks versus Critters.
Yeah, that'll work. And I hope the Critters absolutely rip them to shreds. Number 6 is a new entry for Pride and Prejudice and Zombies,
which I really like. You didn't like it so much, but I think it's a nice sort of weird twist on the whole Pride and Prejudice story thing, and I think it's done really well in the film. I enjoyed it and I went with it, and I thought it was good.
Number 5 is Dad's Army.
Disappointing. It's a shame, the whole thing of taking a classic series, and redoing it now as a film. And a lot of the humour that could be there just isn't. It's just very lacking.
Number 4 is a new entry for 999.
Which is an enjoyable police thriller. It's one of these films, though, that has far too many elements in it, namely the number of characters, which there is too many by about 5. It is a literal scattergun approach to filmmaking, in which case there's loads and loads of things in it. Just basically fire as many things as you can at the screen and see which sticks. It's not bad, but just very, very cluttered.
Yeah, number 3 is The Revenant.
Which is, it's deserving of the Oscars it won. It is a big cinematic film. You do need to see it on big picture and big sound to get the full effect of it. And it won Leonardo DiCaprio finally the best Oscar film, because the best Oscar acting, because it's he does really give it 110%. He really, really sort of delves into the role.
Number 2 is a new entry for How to Be Single,
which is just really poorly done. It's awfully written. The characters are, if not boring, they're unlikable, and just nothing to be engrossing about. And it also is kind of like, it's not how to be single, it's how not to be single, because it's literally a case of by the end of the film, half the characters have now then found themselves in a relationship when it says they're all going to be single.
Yeah, it's really an annoying comedy, if you can call it a comedy anyway. And at number 1, still there, is Deadpool.
Yeah, I've got a feeling we're going to be like treating Deadpool like Star Wars in a little while, where we just have nothing more to say about it. But I loved it. It's fantastic. I thought it was brilliant. It's that whole thing of a new twist on the comic book story. You have the character who's self-referential, breaks the fourth wall. Lots and lots, and I mean lots of foul language, dirty jokes and things like that in it, but fun and crazy fun and stupid and ridiculous, but fun being the main word.
I don't own it. To be honest, I very rarely buy movies these days. It is that reluctance that is set completely into me, because if I do ever upgrade to 4K, a 4K player of some kind, I don't want to be buying movies now and then rebuying them again in 4K, because I've been burnt before buying DVDs up
buy them now, because you get the double pack with the Blu-ray in it as well.
Or I can wait until a 4K player is actually cheaper, and then the 4K version of it is cheaper.
If that's the way that Blu-ray goes, you'll be waiting a while.
But that's the way I'm thinking of it anyway. I don't know if that will work or not, like you said. On to new releases then, we'll start off with Zoolander 2. It's directed by Ben Stiller, and as you can probably guess, it's the sequel to Zoolander. I know, surprising. It's set many years after the events of Zoolander, quite a few years. It took quite a while for Ben Stiller to create a new one. A lot of people were asking for it, even though the first film didn't do very well at the box office. However, it managed to get a cult status over the years. A lot of people were buying the DVD, watching it on TV, starting to really get into the characters of Derek Zoolander and Owen Wilson's character of Hansel. And in a way, there was demand for more. So Ben Stiller listened to that, and he wrote and directed a sequel. And so Zoolander is now living off in the middle of absolutely nowhere, and so is Hansel living off in a concubine. It's the best way I can actually, and the most poshest way I can actually put it. Just construed with a lot of people, including Kiefer Sutherland, which is an interesting appearance because he's just known as Kiefer Sutherland. He's not given a character. There, they're both approached by Billy Zane's character, who's bringing their Netflix and an invitation to this big, massive fashion show. When they get to this fashion show, they're ridiculed. They're shown to be out of date, when in fact everything is all about Facebook and Twitter and all this high fashion and things like that. They then discover a sort of like an underplot which involves Zoolander's son, who he realizes he had to give up, and realizes he's actually in where he's now, and so he needs to seek out his son because the evil Mugatu, who is in prison, is trying to get him for a reason that I'm not going to explain. Here's a clip.
You still got it, D-Zone. You're Derek Zoolander. You stopped a Chinese throwing star in midair with a look. I was there. That's not me anymore. Yes, it is. Hey, flash me that beautiful look. Give me that incredible Magnum.
No. Think fast. Magnum. Wait. No.
Magnum, now! Oh! Come on! You got this, but you gotta focus. Oh! Come on!
Hansel, stop!
You got this!
Oh!
Yeah!
Maybe we could try a washcloth.
Tequila!
Hansel, no! Oh! No! It's not working!
Now, also thrown into the mix is the death of a lot of celebrities, and could these deaths of all these celebrities be involved with what his son could be involved in as well? And so at the start of the film we see the death of Justin Bieber, which is the best thing by far in the movie. Somebody actually had the gall and brilliance to kill Justin Bieber, even though
and convince him to do it.
Yeah, even though he actually does do the stupid Justin Bieber pout at the end because he's doing the blue steel look, it's still though Justin Bieber dies in the movie. And so it got a couple of points for that. It also gets a couple of points for Kristen Wiig's character, who is just stupidly over the top, but I think she just plays it brilliantly. And Benedict Cumberbatch's character, who plays a character called Al. Now, if you've seen the trailer...
I'm sorry, I'm just thinking back to seeing that character. It's oddly wrong, but funny.
Yeah, if you've seen the trailer, I think the funniest Al moment is in the trailer. But I think Benedict Cumberbatch just needs a huge, massive pat on the back for playing that character, because he goes to town on it. The little snippet that we get of it, he just goes to absolutely town of it, which makes you think we could have done more of that, rather than the entire movie just absolutely littered with cameos, including Penelope Cruz, who plays a more prominent role in the movie itself, including a sort of like life raft / submarine. And we've also got Mila Jovovich, who crops up, Justin Bieber, as I said there, Billy Zane and Kristen Wiig, Kiefer Sutherland, Susan Boyle, Benedict Cumberbatch, Olivia Munn, Lewis Hamilton, Sting, Katy Perry, Willie Nelson, John Malkovich, and they're just a few. The film itself is absolutely lit with cameos because it just has absolutely no plot whatsoever to carry the film. If you do find a plot there, it lasts about 2 minutes. And that's pretty much it. The film itself is devoid of any laughs, apart from Benedict Cumberbatch and Kristen Wiig's characters. You smirk at them, but that's it. It's just wince-inducing. A lot of these actors and pop stars and sports people just pop up into the film because Ben Stiller goes, "You want to make a cameo in Zoolander 2? Yeah, why not?" That's it. They've just agreed to it because you just asked them. It's terrible. It's a non-funny comedy. It's a nonity. I've said that before, but it is just a nonity. It's bad. I didn't even see the first one. I haven't seen the first one, so I don't know if the first one is good. This one is just bad, boring and bad.
The first one is actually a very, very good film, and that's the fact of what the problem is with this, that the second one has none of that spark to it. That the first one had some brilliant ideas. The first one was a great sort of good spoof commentary on the whole modelling career and the modelling industry. And the thing is, the second one had the potential and had the setup to be just as good, because it has been that long since the first film. That it's been, what was it, 15 years, I think? I can't remember now. Yeah, and the industry has changed in such a way, and the whole thing of there is one scene in it where you have the two of them walking, two of Hansel and Zoolander walking into a place, and they're all dressed up like they're models but doing the 90s thing, and the guys standing there sort of laughing at them and the fact that they look so outdated and stuff. And that kind of stuff could have been really, really good, and if it was done all the way through it, to make a good commentary on the humour of just how weird and how bizarre, and sometimes in some ways how bad the industry has become now with things. And it doesn't. It's strangely just kind of throws that away, and that's a shame, because it could have been a really good thing. And I'm not even saying it would have had to be a good thing about it to be, or it turns out to be a good thing in the end. But if it had just been making those gags, it would have been a lot more sort of timely humoured than it is.
Much more tolerable. Much more, considering you've got Ben Stiller, who can be a really good comedian. You've got Owen Wilson as well, who's got good comedy timing at times. Thrown it absolutely all the way, especially written by Ben Stiller as well. It's just very lacking in a lot of areas.
And you have Will Ferrell as well, and Kristen Wiig, as you said, they're all great comedy timing actors, and underutilised.
The problem is, you could have worked on this film a lot, and it still wouldn't have turned out very good. It needed to be completely scrapped and redone from the ground up again.
Okay, Son of Saul, which is a Hungarian film. The original title is Soul Fear. It's written and directed by Laszlo Nemes. It is it Nemes? Oh, sorry, it's spelled Nemes, so I'm pronouncing it wrong. But it's a kind of horror drama set in the Auschwitz, the camps in Auschwitz in 1940s, and it has the central character of Saul, played by now I'm bound to get this wrong because it's a name with umlauts and things like that, Geza Rohrig. I'm not sure if that's right or not, but you can look him up online. It's a film which is about this character of Saul, who is a man who basically works in the things like the chambers and stuff of the camp, and is one of the people who is sent there by the Nazi officers to basically clean up the mess of the bodies and things, and deal with that and the disposal of that sort of thing. And at one point when he's doing this and taking care of this, he actually sees a body of a young boy that he has he makes a sort of a connection with that, and sees a very, very shockingly horrific scene of seeing this boy who's actually still alive after being gassed, and seeing him actually being basically euthanized in a different way by a doctor. And it's basically a film that follows the character of Saul, going through the belief that he has of going through that this boy needs to be given a proper funeral or a proper burial and given the proper rites, and trying to find that in amongst all of the horror of what's going on in the situation there. And it's a film that it's in I think it's mostly Hungarian, but I think it does have German in it as well, obviously for German officers speaking and things like that, but so we don't have a clip for it, but it's a film that it's a small film, but it's done in a way that the limitations of what they must have had for a very limited budget has helped it in ways, because what they've done very, very cleverly in a way is they've shot it in a certain way. Apparently, I was looking into it more, it's filmed with a 40mm lens camera. If you don't know anything about camera, it's basically you have short lenses and long lenses. A 40mm lens is one that gives you very, very short field of lens, short field of range, which means you can only see things kind of close up to the camera. And because of this, the film is filmed up close to the character of Saul, and it's all on him mostly, or around him, kind of his view of things. There's things, anything off in the distance is often blurry because of the fact that it's the way that the camera works, but the way that they've decided to do it so that all your focus is on either Saul or what Saul sees nearby him and around him. And it's really, in an odd way, because of that, much more engrossing and much more horrific at times, and much more shocking, because they've also made an effort then of really focusing on the sound around you in the film is really environmental and really, really helps to sell the shots and the situation, even though you don't necessarily see a lot and the things out of focus. As I say, it's done in a way that it's done to be, it's not being gimmicky, it's actually trying to be faithful and be true to the horror of that situation, but I suspect on a very, very limited budget of being able what they could show. So they've done the best they can, and it comes out with it being a lot more, it feels a lot more personal. It's a very much more exhaustive watch as well as a result of that. But it's a film that by the end of it, you literally do come out of it kind of, you need to take a breath for a moment. It's really surprising. I don't think I liked it as much as you did. I do think it's a very, very well done film. I think it's a very, very impressively sort of handled debut, and I was impressed, and I got into it. I didn't like it as much as I say. I come away from it basically just, I don't know if it's just the fact of the subject was just very, very the tone of it obviously was very, very exhausting, that I found it almost distressing, but that it's a film that it's very hard to actually kind of quantify it as to how much of an effect it does have on you, and I'm not saying that's a bad thing, because a film, the last thing you want a film, especially anything about Auschwitz, to be is lacking in what it brings out of you. But I just found that by the end of it, I was kind of like, wow, that was impressive, it was good. I didn't love it. I don't think it'll be my top 10 films, but it is a very, very good, solid piece of filmmaking.
Well, I'm going to fight at the end of the year for it to be in the top 10. I will fight tooth and nail, just like there is a couple of other films that I will fight to the death to get them in the top 10 at the end of the year, because I think Son of Saul is such an important film that it needs to be in there. It's just it's very powerful. It's a really, really difficult film to watch. You didn't mention it in your description there, but I mentioned it when I reviewed the film a few weeks ago in the cinema section, and it's not giving anything away because it is shown in the trailer. Saul's whole premise is to take his son.
Yeah,
that's the body. It's fine to mention it. It's in the IMDb description.
It's basically that it's kind of, I mean, not spoiling it, but it's kind of the whole thing of that him having the view, and it's questionable, is it his son, is it just a random boy? But you have that, there's that connection in his head, and because of the way it's done, it's questionable as to whether or not it is or whether or not it isn't, but it doesn't matter, sort of thing.
It's actually mentioned in the trailer that it is. So it is his son. The film itself, the way the camera actually follows the character, it's always on Saul, the camera, rather than you seeing the nastiness, which you do get to see it happen in this concentration camp. I think if the camera was allowed to actually show a lot of it, the film itself would have easily been an 18 rated certificate. But because the fact that you hear it, it makes you picture it, and it makes it worse. So it makes the film even harder to actually watch. It's a really difficult film to get through. It's on there with Grave of the Fireflies for me. I know I mentioned Studio Ghibli again, but because that is such a powerful film centered around Hiroshima and the trouble between brother and sister and trying to survive after they lose their parents, I think power level, it matches Son of Saul. I actually think Grave of the Fireflies is slightly more powerful for me. It hit much more harder for me. But that's not to say Son of Saul is such a it really stretches you. It's a hard film to watch again. Can't recommend watching it multiple times, but it is such an important film that it needs to be seen. Grimsby, on the other hand, is not an important film that should definitely not be seen by any person who has any taste or decency. I think I've given my review away there, but that is the case. It's directed by Louis Leterrier, so he stepped away from Now You See Me to direct Grimsby. It's written by and starring Sacha Baron Cohen, who plays the character of Nobby, and his brother, Mark Strong, who plays Sebastian, who's an MI6 agent. However, when Nobby discovers that he is his brother, he ends up doing something really silly, which causes Sebastian to go on the run, and Nobby to try and protect him. There they find themselves in Brazil, and they discover that something bad is going down in there. Here's a clip.
You need to head inside, find Lena Schmidt and seduce her.
What, and cheat on Dawn, Never.
You need to seduce her in order to find out what Lukashenko bought from her husband.
Okay.
Can you see Lena Schmidt? She's easy to spot. She's wearing a green dress and she's absolutely gorgeous.
She is gorgeous.
It's one of the only cleanest clips we can actually play on the show. The film itself is horrendous. It makes me think that, did Louis Leterrier actually direct this movie, or was he held at gunpoint by Sacha Baron Cohen to say, you're directing an action film, you're directing a comedy movie. Mark Strong is going to be the action film, I'm going to be the comedy movie. You're doing that whether you like it or not. Take out Sacha Baron Cohen, he's writing, take out his character, give an action film to Mark Strong, get it directed by Louis Leterrier, you might have had a possible film. Add in the horribleness that is Sacha Baron Cohen's character, the really bad writing, and you've given an absolute mess of a movie, including that horrendous scene that a lot of people are not mentioning. It is really bad. It's really, really bad. You know what scene I'm talking about, don't you?
Would that be the one involving testicles?
No.
There
is that one. It's the one that is actually set in Africa, in where they are, involving animals.
I'm trying to even remember now. I can't. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I had actually kind of blocked it from my mind.
It's now back into your mind.
Yeah.
Because I had to suffer through it, and so now you're having to suffer through that mental picture that happens in that. Yeah. It's just, honestly, this is below the lowest common denominator. It shows you how bad this is. It made me want to rewatch The Hangover Part 2. Because that's slightly more tolerable than how bad some of the humour is in this one. Sacha Baron Cohen should be ashamed of himself. Louis Leterrier should be ashamed of himself. Everybody involved in this movie should be ashamed of themselves, especially, and unfortunately for her, Gabriella Sidibe. She's on the poster. She doesn't even get a mention on the name-wise on the poster, but she's on the poster that she's involved in a horrible scene, which just, she goes from being in something hard-hitting as Precious into something as nasty as Grimsby. It's horrible. It's really horrible. Guaranteed to make my top 10 worst films of the year.
I don't think it's as bad as you, but it's bad. And the thing is, it's got this really weird thing of that there are action sequences in it which are not badly directed. And I do think, again, because do you remember when I said when we did the cinema section of it, and the cinema review of it, I thought it was that the action sequences were fine. I don't think that Louis Leterrier got the jokes and got the humour, and I think he struggled with understanding the humour to be able to direct it. And I think that's part of what comes through. That the humour is, while some of it is very, very tasteless, some of it isn't tasteless. Some of it's just normal humour, and it just falls completely flat because of the fact of that it's not been directed to suit it. It's been directed like it's not like he's not sure how to handle it. And I think that's a problem with the film. I think that's definitely a part of the problem.
I've got a sneaking suspicion that Leterrier directed the action bits with Mark Strong, and Sacha Baron Cohen sort of like told him to not direct anything comedy-wise because he's going to handle it himself. If that's the case, then Louis Leterrier should team up with Mark Strong and make an action film with little nuances of humour in there. So I think he would handle that really well. It might make an average film, but an average film compared to Grimsby is Oscar worthy.
Okay, moving on to 50 Shades of Black, which is directed by Michael Tidders. It is the spoof of 50 Shades of Grey in the style of the airplane movies and the scary movies. You have Marlon Wayans playing Christian Black. You have Callie Hawke playing Hannah Steele, the two characters of 50 Shades of Grey, and basically it is that, one of these films that just takes the story of 50 Shades of Grey and just then does the whole thing over with interjections of humour and spoof and gags here and there, and physical gags and stupid gags, and then other things like references to other films like Magic Mike and stuff like that, and that kind of thing. It doesn't really need much of an explanation because it doesn't really have a story or a plot much. Just it's one of these just very loose, taking the whole thing and just basically, well, kind of in a way flushing it down the toilet. You get an example of that in this clip.
Christian, we have to talk.
You mean like white people?
What's wrong with that?
Well, they just talk a lot. They do it differently than black people do. White people don't like to argue. They like to discuss. And they start throwing around all these big SAT words and putting a lot of emotional guilt on each other. It's just too much to deal with. I like it the black way, where we curse each other out, we may fight, and then we get cool again, but we talk about each other behind each other's back.
What you not gonna do?
Oh, no, what you not gonna do?
You're
not about to knock me. Don't let me get to clapping, boo.
Oh, hell no.
See? That's communication.
So as you heard in that clip there, you get the whole kind of also the racial stereotype things as well, and that's all in there too, and it's just poor. It's just there's things like you have an appearance by Jane Seymour who plays the adoptive mother in the film, and that's just completely wrong. You wonder how they managed to get Jane Seymour in there, and how she's like the way she is in the film. You just kind of go, really? What is she hard up for money or something? And it's a complete waste of material. It's largely not funny. There are a couple of gags in it which are not so much they're funny as what they are, but they're funny the fact that they're doing them is sort of a thing. It's kind of the gags themselves are not funny. The fact that they're doing them the way they do them is what's funny, and it's a complete waste. The trailer actually does look funny, the film's not.
Yeah, exactly.
I just can't.
Didn't even look funny.
I just can't say anything more about it because there's nothing more to say. Really. It's not Hangover 2 bad, but it's bad.
Yeah, it's bad. It's not as bad as like a Haunted House 2 or any of that kind of stuff, but it would just be nice if
even Haunted House 2 made me laugh.
Haunted House 2 didn't. It made me cringe badly. It would just be nice for Marlon Wayans to go back to Scary Movie, the first one, to that kind of, because the first one actually was really funny and it was relevant. It didn't decide to try and shoehorn tons of movies into the film itself. It had a couple of them and concentrated on Scream and I Know What You Did Last Summer, with hints of maybe urban legend thrown in there. I think they need to go back to that kind of standpoint and make it more relevant to today's society and make a comedy based on that. That's what I would like to see from them, rather than what they're actually churning out. Because Wayans is a good actor.
Was the first one not the Zucker brothers as well? The first and second one of the Scary Movies were the Zucker brothers, weren't they, that directed them?
I'm not 100% certain. IMDb is normally our friends on that front there, but I'm not 100% certain, and you can probably see me tipping typing away. That was in 2000 as well. Not Keenan Ivory Wayans was the director.
Okay.
So yeah, they need to go back to that because the original Scary Movie was funny, and like I said, Marlon Wayans can act. He's a good actor. Requiem for a Dream, for example, tough film, but he's really good in that. If he's going back to humour, I would like him to do Scary Movie-esque kind of film, not later Scary Movies, because they're really bad. Final film of the night, for me anyway, in the Blu-ray and DVD section, Secret in Their Eyes. Very straightforward drama directed by Billy Ray. It's set in 2002, the first part of the film anyway, and it's set around Chiwetel Ejiofor's character who plays Ray Caston. He works alongside Jess Cooper, who is played by Julia Roberts. They are two investigators in private police unit led by the DA. They receive an anonymous tip-off about a girl who's been found beside this mosque. And so they go to investigate it. When they get there, they realise that it's Julia Roberts' character's daughter. So the team ends up falling apart after that occurs, and so we fast forward to 2015, so 13 years down the line, and then Ejiofor's character resurfaces and sees that he's been reinvestigating it, and he's discovered some prevalent information. Here's a clip.
Jess.
Jesus, how are you?
How are you?
I'm good. I'm good. You?
Oh, I'm fine. I was just congratulating. Well, you made chief investigator, right? So I'm looking at royalty here. You still living in Moore Park?
Yes. It's quiet out there. I like the quiet. You still bureau?
No, I went private sector. Badge kind of lost its charm for me.
I'll let you too.
No. Stay, please. This is about you. I found him, Jess. I found Martin.
So in that clip there, you heard Ejiofor's character saying that they found supposedly the killer. However, things aren't as easy as they might sound to be. The film itself, you heard the way that clip sort of like played out, and that's indicative of what the movie is actually like. At times it tries to inject itself with a bit more of a faster pace, but overall the movie is very stoic, very slow, very plodding. It doesn't go anywhere very fast, to be honest. The performances are very average, nothing like to write home about. The whole film itself is just distinctly average. There isn't any injection, any urgency in the film there. There is no tension in the film there. When you start to unravel the plot of what's going on, it just seems very mundane and very basic. There isn't anything that makes you go, oh, or makes you shocked or surprised. So overall, the film itself is just quite average, very plain, very normal.
Okay, the last film of the evening is Get a Job, which is directed by Dylan Kidd. It's a film that's had a troubled production because it was actually finished 2 years ago and has sat on the shelves waiting for things, and is basically getting a release now, I think, because of the fact that it does have a cast in it involving quite a few sort of well-known names. Because you have the lead character played by Miles Tellar. You have Bryan Cranston in there who plays his father. Anna Kendrick is in there playing his girlfriend. You have Christopher Mintz-Plasse plays a character in there. John Cho turns up. Marcia Gay Harden. It's a feast of actors and actresses, and it's centered around this character, as I say, of Will, who is basically he's not sort of employed or anything like that. He goes to his father for some help, for money. Everything seems to be going fine until his father ends up losing his job. He then has to sort of find himself a job, and while his father is also trying to look for a job, his girlfriend is looking for a job and it's working, and it's all about sort of a drama around their lives, of them, and the difficulties of basically sort of growing up on their own and starting to, financially trying to settle themselves and get out there. And you have the Will is sort of trying to find his footing, as is everyone else, but then him and his friends, they manage to find some of them stumble. It's all sort of a drama around that. And the thing is, watching it's kind of a film that you just sit there and you're wondering where it's going. It doesn't really have a plot as such. Just has these characters doing, some of them get a job and then find themselves succeeding in that job. Some of them get a job and find themselves then without a job after a while. It doesn't work out, and it's them dealing with, gotta find another job, and there's nothing particularly outstanding about it. It's fairly mundane, but the interesting thing is that as it goes on, you kind of start to get into the characters. I kind of like the characters, oddly, in it, because you have the Anna Kendrick character is she's always sort of pushing him to be good, and he's always pushing himself, and then they start to realise maybe that's not what they want, and it's one of these ones, you know, where by the end of it the character has kind of figured out more what they want, or either doesn't have a clue, but they're happy with not having a clue, they're just going to see what happens, sort of thing. So it's one of these very, very typical, nothing exceptional dramas, but it's oddly kind of enjoyable, and I didn't think it was anything outstanding. It's kind of almost like TV movie fare, but it was watchable and better than I honestly expected going into it, because I didn't know what on earth to expect. Not necessarily worthy of the stellar cast that's in there. Bryan Cranston is very good in this, what he's given, but he's not in there for a majority of the film. But it's, you know, it's a worthwhile watch for an hour and a half.
Right, that's it for the new releases on this week's show. Let's get into TV movies of the week. Emphasising the movies part now.
Yeah, I've got several, but I've got well, what I'll mention is I've got Now You See Me, because we're talking about the first one in the cinema section. The second one. The first one is on Thursday the 7th of July, at 9 o'clock on Film 4. Then you have the Film 4 is doing a Aliens double bill over 2 nights. Yeah, because you've got on the Friday the 8th and Saturday the 9th of July. Friday at 9 o'clock on Film 4, Prometheus is on. Then after that at 11:25 is Alien. On Saturday at 9 o'clock is Aliens, and then at 12 o'clock midnight on the Friday night is Alien 3. They're not showing Alien Resurrection.
Do you know if it's the director's cut or just the standard versions?
I don't know, but for Aliens, looking at the running times, that's 3 hours with adverts. That will be the extended cut, because I know for a fact that they do have the extended cut on the channel. The other versions,
new parents and all that kind of stuff that you see in it.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure the other versions, the other Alien and Alien 3 will be just the standard versions. I don't think they've ever been shown.
It's a pity with Alien 3, because the director's cut of Alien 3 is much better than the original.
Not a director's cut though. Extended cut, because David Fincher basically they offered David Fincher if he wanted to come back. Yeah, they came back. They said to him, "Do you want to come back and redo it for the DVD and the Blu-ray? Because if you got that, you got both versions." And he just basically turned around and said, "No, don't want anything to do it."
No, thank you.
Yeah.
That's speaking of Aliens, that was the series that I've actually bought the most on Blu-ray/DVD. I know I've bought pretty much every version of the Lord of the Rings, but Aliens is the one that I've bought the most, and ironically the ones I've settled on are the DVD versions in sort of like metal tins. They're the ones I settled on because the metal tins are actually fantastic.
I've got them on
pretty
a couple, I think, as well. Yeah. Okay, my 2 more films I'm going to do. One is the Sunday the 10th on E4 at 8 o'clock is X-Men, the original, the first X-Men film by Bryan Singer. And so we're talking, what's that, 20 years? 15 years, something like that. 2001 wasn't it about? So 15 years. Because it's not the best of them, but it's impressive to go back and look at it and go, you know what, there's a lot more right than there is wrong. Yeah, but the movie I'm going to pick, and you've probably got this as well, is on tomorrow night, Tuesday the 5th, on Film 4 at 9 o'clock.
Yes.
Yeah, and that's Odd Thomas, which is the Anton Yelchin starring movie from director of the Stephen Sommers, isn't it? Directed it. Yeah, and it's a weird, odd comedy, but Odd Thomas is perfectly the way to describe it, about a guy who can see the dead, but he can't hear them in a town, and when things start to go on and he starts seeing more and more things and odd things going on, then it's all building to something.
Yeah, that is my movie of the week as well, Odd Thomas. So that's a shock for people who actually chose exactly the same film as our movies of the week.
I don't know if it might be the premiere as well on TV.
I'm not sure, but that is definitely my choice. Critics were very sniffy of the film, but I actually really, really like Odd Thomas. A couple other films, Aliens has already been mentioned as well, but thrown into the mix for a bit of fun on Friday the 8th at 11:10 at night. On 5 stars, Piranha, the Alexander Aja remake of it. I really like it. I think it's actually slightly better than the Toby Hooper version. It's more fun. It's a perfect Friday night film. If you're not out drinking, then this is a perfect one where you've got like takeaway, some beers, just enjoy the just insanity that is that film. And the other choice is it's on a stupid time as well. Sunday the 10th leading into Monday the 11th, so Sunday the 10th very late at night, or early Monday the 11th at 1:20 a.m. Wild Bill, which is a bit of a strange time to actually show this Dexter Fletcher drama. Brilliant film. Very, very close for me with Odd Thomas to be chosen as my movie of the week, but I never thought you would have actually chosen Odd Thomas as your movie of the week. That's why I picked it for myself, because I really like it. But Wild Bill is definitely a movie to see. 1:20 in the morning, not so sure, but well done, film for put it on a stupid o'clock. It's just a silly time to actually put it on. They could have easily put it on 9 o'clock, easily. And that's it for this week's show. Make sure you check out the website mondaymovieshow.co.uk to find out when we are doing the show next. We will be back next Monday, 9:30, slightly later than usual, because the fact that we are I'll be reviewing Ghostbusters, and so I will be reviewing it. I'm going to see it straight after work to review it for the show. So we'll hopefully be one of the first audio podcasts and live shows to actually review the film, which will be nice if that's the case. But we are reviewing Ghostbusters on next week's show, so make sure you check out the website for details on what else we're looking at on next week's show. Follow us on Facebook at facebook.com/Monday Movie Show, Twitter at Monday Movie Show. I'm on there at Cryptic Tadpole. Andrew's on there at EHDVD. You can email us mondaymoovieshow@yahoo.com. Following the nerd.com is where you'll find the Monday Movie Show in website form, apart from the Monday Movie Show website. You've also heard an advert there from Page 2 Screen. Stuart's not doing any podcasts in August. He is, however, building up a back catalogue, so he will still be releasing new material, but it'll not be like up-to-date kind of stuff. So he's back in September as normal. And also check out Following the Gamer, the sweary version of the Monday Movie Show, but for video games with me, Al, and Shane. Overall movie of the week.
Well, I'm going to have to say 2, so now you see me 2 if you want something at the cinema, but if you're willing to watch a foreign film with subtitles, then do see Son of Saul on DVD and Blu-ray.
Well, I'm just going to have to go straight into Son of Saul, because I don't think any of the cinema and rest of Blu-ray DVD section was strong enough. So Son of Saul for me. And if you want to go and see something at the cinema, then this weekend you've got previews of the new Ice Age movie. I've already seen it, so I'll be reviewing that in a couple of weeks' time. Hint, it's not very good. So go see The Secret Life of Pets instead. Just if you want to watch an animated film, go see that instead. And that's it for this week's show. Like I said, we'll be back next week where we'll be reviewing, amongst other things, The Legend of Tarzan. And so we're going to play you out with a very short clip of that film. So until next week, goodbye.
Bye-bye.
I grew up running on all fours. It changed the bone structure.
Do you swing on things inside? Like when you go upstairs?
Oh, I never take the stairs. I usually take the curtains.